I mean, you didn't have to dance. Hey, shout out to all of the subscribers and members here on the channel. Don't forget to give the video a like. I am Reese Waters, and this is Who Raised Y'all, where we highlight those unique individuals going above and beyond to make society worse.
The Venezuelan migrants are starting to get deported. This is why I quite feel bad for them, man, because the level of entitlement that these people have had, I have never seen in my entire life, this level of entitlement.
You know, the kinds of people you'll see asking to speak to the manager at the pearly gates.
I want to talk to the manager.
Today, we're going to talk about Venezuelans.
I am really wondering how the Venezuelans are feeling right now. How are they feeling right now? And I'm talking about the ones that voted for Trump. How can they live with themselves? Because we just had the Supreme Court that said they don't have any protections. Remember that video that I made that they were waiting for a Hail Mary? They really thought that there was going to be a Hail Mary done for the court, and they didn't blame Trump at all for him lifting the TPS, talking about it was unlawful. So how are you feeling? How are you feeling? Because tú votaste por Trump, right? Tú dijiste, este es mi hombre. Este es mi hombre. He hates you. He hates you. Y no lo entiende, ¿la? Y no te amas. He looks at you as less than a person. So here we are, in which TPS is no longer like a really illegal option. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but now a lot of Venezuelans are going to have to leave. Thank you to all those Trumper Venezuelans. You took this to your own people. Bye.
And I think the situation can be summed up right here. TPS for Venezuelans was meant to protect them from being sent back to a country where their lives would be at risk. The conditions in Venezuela haven't improved. If anything, they've worsened. The U.S. still calls Maduro's regime authoritarian, illegitimate, even linked to terrorism. So what gives? Why are Venezuelans being treated like second-class migrants while others, like white South Africans, are being granted entry? The double standard is blatant and shameful. And to the Venezuelans for Trump, or really Trump supporting Latinos at large, I want you to pay specific attention to the comment directly underneath it. We don't care. That's how they feel. That is exactly how they feel. And that's how they've always felt. That much was clear to us. Now, we did see your change in tune after the administration took office, which was both parts confusing and infuriating because they didn't change at all.
Press conference in Doral Monday, Venezuelan Americans denounced the Trump administration and South Florida Republicans.
More than betrayal.
No.
Beyond betrayal.
Shocking.
They used us.
No.
They actually, during the campaign, and I don't want to make this political, but during the campaign, the elected officials from the Republican Party, they actually told us that he was not going to touch the documented people.
How you believe that? Hey! We will vote.
Raise your hands, come on!
For Donald Trump. Hey!
I mean, you didn't have to dance.
How do you feel about what happened now?
I do know that the news that we woke up for today must have been as frustrated as they have been for me, even for Trump supporters, because it hits home. It's different. It hits straight home. And considering that going back to Venezuela right now, it's not an option.
Those who supported President Trump during the election are firing back, now saying they feel lied to and betrayed.
Y le quiero dar un mensaje al presidente.
I want to send a message to the president.
If the Venezuelan Americans voted for you in large numbers, they did so to remove criminals. Venezuelan Americans did not vote for you to criminalize the majority of the Venezuelans.
We are all in agreement that violent criminals should be taken out of our country. Deportations should happen for people who have not respected our laws. And I think most people, and I would say the majority of the immigrants here in our community, bought into this platform of safety, security, and protected borders for our country.
Yes, safety and security and strong borders for our country. They're coming to get the criminals. Despite the fact that, yes, I do remember when Venezuelans were fine with Haitians losing TPS status and being deported, so they voted for Trump. Now the Supreme Court allows Trump administration to strip protections from some Venezuelans who are now undocumented immigrants facing arrest, detention, and removal. That's right. When they were characterized as criminals, when they challenged the legality of their existence in America, even though they came here legally, you sat there and watched it, and it wasn't a red flag. I wonder why. Florida Republicans resist Donald Trump ending TPS for Venezuelans. Some Florida Republican representatives have voiced opposition to the Trump administration ending temporary protected status protections for hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans. The U.S. Supreme Court allowing the administration to end TPS protections for Venezuelans may have implications for 350,000 living in the United States. Critics say they may be at risk of deportation of Venezuela, where they could face persecution or other challenges despite long-standing legal protections in the U.S. Trump's efforts to end TPS status for Venezuelans has sparked some criticism from Florida Republicans representing the Miami area, including Representatives Mario Diaz-Balart, Carlos Jimenez, and Maria Elvira Salazar. While the lawmakers have been broadly supportive of many of the president's immigration efforts, naturally, they have warned about potential repercussions of ending TPS. Salazar joined two Democratic members of Congress, Representatives Darren Soto and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, both of whom also represent Florida, in introducing a bill earlier this month aimed at curbing the Trump administration's actions around TPS. Now, you have to wonder, now that we are several months into FAFO season, exactly what the feeling is on the ground.
The Venezuelan migrants are starting to get deported. This is why I quite feel bad for them, man, because the level of entitlement that these people have had, I have never seen in my entire life this level of entitlement. There's a video right now that I was tagged in, man, that was going viral of this Venezuelan dude that was talking. He was pretty much bragging about the fact that he came here and he's living for free. And he says, it's not my problem, it's not our problem, the fact that y'all bought into the scam and y'all stressed out because y'all got to pay bills and y'all got to do all this and y'all got to work hard. Us, we didn't come here for that, man. We came here to live like we lived in Venezuela, man, where the government's going to take care of us. And I'm like, first of all, there's no way in hell that back in Venezuela, they were living as good as they're living here, right? But the point is that he was walking through New York City streets, bro, bragging about the fact that they give him a little red card, right, with $1,000 a month, right? They're paying for their rent, they're paying for everything pretty much, right? And he's living for free. He was bragging about the fact. The title of the video, he says, 1 year living free in New York. Crazy, bro. But whatever. The point is that the enemy came for this dude, right? And then he came back talking about, I'm gonna sue you, I'm gonna sue New York, I'm gonna sue everybody. You're not gonna be able to mess with me. And I'm like, yo, these people are literally insane, bro. Like, I've never seen this level of entitlement for people who came from another country here. And it's like, give us everything, man. And if you don't, man, sue. Yo, he said he's gonna sue New York, man. Him saying he's gonna sue the state that's feeding him is crazy. That's how crazy these people are, man.
Okay. Now, a couple of things. I was not familiar with this content. It hadn't crossed my feed, but I did look into it, and guess what I found?
This Venezuelan migrant recently went on a live stream to tell us about some of the cool benefits she's been receiving in New York City. No one will remove us from here, not even Trump will get us out. Then she says, you know, I've been suffering from, I've been having dental issues. So I had surgery recently. and they helped me with 4 teeth. But the appointments were far away, unfortunately. Then here she says, I'm in New York. I want to leave New York, but I don't have my papers yet. It's nice here, but working without papers, it's horrible. I'm desperate, to be honest. Then she keeps communicating with the comment section and she says, I'm fairly new. I've been here for only 6 months. Only 6 months since I got here. I hope President Trump does the right thing.
Now, I can't imagine actually bragging about being able to take advantage of the system like that. I like, first rule of taking advantage of the system is keep it low. Except that's what Trump did now, didn't he? That's exactly what Trump did now, didn't he? When he was pressed about his tax payments, he bragged about taking advantage of the system. So naturally, you guys would have been just as disgusted with Trump behaving that way, correct? Also, it is interesting because I just got out of this black fatigue conversation where I was outlining just how responsible we are all made to feel about the actions of some. So is what you're telling me that they're only representing themselves? They don't represent you all as a group. You're behaving as if they represent you all as a group, and that is why you need to get them out, despite the fact that you know that's not the case.
I cried to my boss this morning, and I cried because I'm stuck in a bureaucratic limbo. I'm a Venezuelan immigrant in the US. I went to high school here, I went to college here. I've lived my whole adult life in the US, and I came here the right way, the legal way. I've paid taxes over 8 years. I've done all the stuff that I'm supposed to do. I'm doing everything in my hands that I have to get a work visa, and I literally exploded. I lost it today. I never cried about it to someone else other than my family, but I called my boss and I told him the only way that I have to stay in the US permanently is to get a work visa, because the other way that I had was marrying someone. But guess what? I fell in love and he's from my same city. So there goes getting an American boyfriend. Like, he's in the same exact position that I'm in, and it's just really scary times. I've never committed a crime. I know I'm not their targeted, like, immigrant, alien, whatever you want to call it, but I'm still scared. And I'm scared because I don't want to go back to somewhere where I'm going to be scared for my life every single day. Like, and I feel like people don't really get that. I've lived, like, since I'm 16, I've been in Texas. And this has been my second home. All the opportunities I've had, all the friends I have, everything I have is here. My whole family is here, and I'm just scared that that's gonna go away. And I know the situation's not with me. Like, I know I shouldn't be as scared as I am, but I haven't been able to sleep just thinking about my options. And I don't want to go to Canada. It's too cold.
And then there's also the part, once you get past that, your disgust with the immigrants could also be laid at the feet of Donald Trump. And once you get past the part where you know that this is not true of everybody, but you are behaving as if it is, but then doesn't apply to you. It's like a weird kind of, how about the part where they are habitual line steppers and you, by virtue of what you have empowered in them, can no longer feel safe? What is the level of hustling backwards that you would call that?
2 months ago, more than 100 Venezuelan men were deported to a Salvadoran prison without due process. A new report by the Cato Institute found that dozens had entered the U.S. legally. Our Camila Montoya Galvez joins me now. Camila, tell me about this report. they were here legally? And just tell me more.
Sure. The report, John, found that at least 50 of the Venezuelan men who were deported to El Salvador back in March as part of that secretive operation had entered the U.S. legally. Some came here as refugees or visa holders, and dozens came under a Biden administration process known as CBP-1 that was designed to discourage illegal immigration. They all came here, the 50 deportees identified by Cato, legally with the government's permission. Another 40, according to Cato, came here illegally, crossing the border without the government's permission. But the organization was not able to make that determination as to the manner of entry for the rest of the deportees because it does not have sufficient information to do so. And that really gets at the center of this issue, the scant details that the government has provided to many of the questions we have about these deportees, not only their status, but when they're going to be released and how from Salvadoran custody.
Right. And how did they make the arrest then if these at least 50 were in the United States legally?
Well, the Trump administration invoked the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, arguing that these are suspected members of Tren de Aragua, that prison gang that the administration is arguing is staging an invasion of the country, and that they should be treated as enemy aliens, and that this law allows the administration to bypass due process protections, immigration court hearings, and the like to deport and arrest these suspected gang members without any of the due process protections in immigration law.
What's the status of those legal cases on the Alien Enemies Act?
A federal judge in D.C. is trying to determine whether these deportees are still in the legal custody of the U.S. and whether they should be returned here to U.S. soil.
So we're going to move out of disgust for the stories that no doubt were presented to us via a right-wing echo chamber to empower Donald Trump, who behaved the exact same way, even though he can't be trusted to hold his word and I won't feel safe. And let's add on top of that the white South Africans. Now, I was curious because he had so much to say about the Venezuelans getting booted out with TP. I was curious. I went to his exact feed to see what he had to say about the white South Africans. And guess what? I ain't seen nothing. I ain't seen nothing. Not one thing. Not one thing about the white South Africans. That is crazy. Now, that's not to say that he didn't address South Africa at all.
Yo, Trump is a G, man. That settles it, man. Trump just did the most New York shit you could ever do. If you're from New York City, you know that whenever you find somebody catching shit about you online, man, you run into them and you go out to them and then you pull up the phone. He's like, yo, this you right here? You know, just to see if they keep the same energy, right? Well, Trump just did that, bro, to the president of South Africa, man, because there was a video that went viral of him a while back calling for the unalivement of white South Africans. Yeah. Trump having a meeting that he said, yo, turn around, look at the TV, man. And he played the video of the guy calling for the unaliving, bro, of white South Africans, bro. I kid you not. You should have seen the look on their faces, bro. Like, oh my God, is this really happening right now, bro? And Trump is just looking at them, man. Saying in my face, man. God, you tough, right? You tough for your country, man. Be tough right here in front of me, man. Trump let his nuts hang, bro. He's like, you calling for the unaliving of my people, man? Huh? You know I'm white, right? Yo. That is so funny, man. Imagine, yo, Trump would be like, yo, arrest him. He would have like, wait, like, what? He's like, man, I'm never coming back to America, man. I seen Eddie Murphy's movie Coming to America. Thought it was only gonna have a good old time over here, man. We ain't coming back to America, he said.
You gotta wonder when he said, don't you know I'm white, right? Whether he was talking about Trump or himself. You really have to wonder. That wasn't the South African president. No, that was a whole nother brown person. That was a whole nother brown person that you assume. At least Trump had the decency not to think that was the South African president, which, given that we're deleting transcripts, is actually quite a feat. I have to give him some credit for at least not thinking he was playing video of the man himself. But as low as the bar is for Trump, you couldn't even clear it. I don't think these folks can be helped. Now, granted, given that confronting people with evidence is something that you advocate for. I'm sure you applauded when the Canadian president dunked on Trump in the Oval Office, correct? How about Zelensky? Or how about the half-hour-long fact checks every time he speaks longer than 5 minutes? Naturally, that would be something that you would applaud, I'm sure. But even given that it is a whole nother brown person, and by the way, the evidence that Trump presented has been thoroughly debunked. I've presented it a number of times. I want to know just how legitimate and savage you consider it to be pressed with the comments of your supporters. Because if we're just talking about other people in the country, right? I think it's some J6ers comments I would love to present to Donald Trump. Matter of fact, we can stay in the cabinet, not just people in the country, but people that he has empowered. I believe Pete Hegseth and Darren Beatty have some comments I would love to get Trump's thoughts on. That would be fascinating.
The biggest misconception Americans have about Latinos is that they think that all Latinos want exactly what the Venezuelan immigrants have come here to get.
Are you trying to make a comment about Latinos and misconceptions about Latinos while eating? I'm not saying you can't eat during your video. Like, I might eat during a video and I might make a video about Black people, but I don't think I would eat while making a video about Black people, but go on.
Nothing could be further from the truth. Just because we're Latinos, does that mean that we agree that all Latinos that cross the border in Mexico should come to the U.S. and get free housing? No. Just because we're Latinos, does that mean that we agree that Venezuelan immigrants should get a food stamp card? Absolutely not.
Now, I would have to say no, because you can't expect anybody to do anything. I mean, we still got Black Magas out here panhandling for biscuits. So no, I can never say all, but what I can say is I would expect a overwhelming majority of people to see how other people have been treated. Other people who look like you, other people who look like me, other people who don't look like them have been treated. Get the rhetoric, get just how delicately they dance around the law. I mean, the dude was holding 34 felonies when you went in the booth. I would have thought that the overwhelming majority would have seen all of that and moved accordingly and realized just how against your own best interest you were acting. Basic logic and reason. That's what I expected.
Un pandillero, no es un terrorista.
Lisbeth Sanguino and her sons went through months of extensive vetting, in-person interviews, and background checks to be resettled as refugees.
Aquí están los boletos de avión.
So she was shocked when the family arrived at the airport in Houston and immigration agents arrested her 24-year-old son, Widmer Aguelvis. The reason? A tattoo of a rose and a clock, which an agent wrote are associated with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Experts say Tren de Aragua does not use tattoos as markers of membership, and government documents show Aguelvis had no criminal record or other evidence linking him to the gang. He's one of hundreds of men deported to the prison under the Alien Enemies Act, which Trump officials justified by calling them a threat to the nation.
Our job is to send the terrorists out before anyone else gets raped or murdered.
But lawyers advocating for the families say most of them aren't gang members at all.
The majority of them have no criminal record and have no indication, really, that they're part of this Tren de Aragua that the government says that they're an integral part of.
Through government documents and interviews with lawyers and families, we found that at least 3 of the deported men, including Aguelvis, had been carefully vetted to come to the U.S. under the Refugee Resettlement Program, a process for people fleeing war and persecution. In a statement, the Trump administration said it was confident in its intelligence and that it would be, quote, insane to share intelligence reports every time a gang member denies he is one. For more than 2 months, she's had no contact with him.
Yo como y siento culpa.
She feels guilty when she eats, she says, because she doesn't know if he's eating. The first and only glimpse at his conditions came last week, when former Congressman Matt Gaetz, for his show on One American News, joined current members of Congress for a tour of the section of the prison housing Venezuelan deportees. The prisoners yelled liberty and made this hand sign, an international symbol meaning SOS. Watching the video, Lisbeth says, only made her feel worse. How does this change your perception of the United States?
Totalmente.
Completely, she says. She thought the U.S. was a place where things happened according to the law.
Now, what was it that woman said at the beginning of the video? She said betrayed, right? Beyond betrayed? Beyond betrayed.
More than betrayed. No. Beyond betrayed.
Shocking.
They use.
But she didn't mention anybody by name, did she? Let's do that. Rubio used Venezuelans in his hometown for political gain. Now he's betrayed them. Secretary of State Marco Rubio faced his former Senate colleagues Tuesday with bitter words exchanged as Senate Democrats accused him of abandoning his principles. Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland, who served with Rubio in the Senate for 15 years and voted to confirm him as Secretary of State, didn't mince words. We didn't always agree, but I believe we shared some common values, a belief in defending democracy and human rights abroad and honoring the Constitution at home. That's why I voted to confirm you. I believe you would stand up for those principles. You haven't. You've done the opposite. I would disagree, Senator Chris Van Hollen. You voted to confirm him because he was surrounded by reality show hosts and people about to get kicked out of Congress. That's why you voted to confirm him. The other possibilities. Venezuelans in Miami can stay the same. Rubio, the Miami-born son of Cuban exiles, had for many years been perhaps the strongest consistent voice in the U.S. government, lobbying for toughness against Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and for Venezuelans to be granted TPS status. Rubio, who also serves as national security advisor, now supports President Donald Trump's decision to end TPS deportation protections, and he must own up to his contribution to the imminent deportation of some 350,000 Venezuelans who, thanks to a U.S. Supreme Court decision on Monday, will lose their TPS status while a legal case is ongoing.
I wanted to ask you, do you believe after everything that Maduro has done, and you and I have both condemned him, as I think almost everybody on this dais has, that TPS recipients forced to return to Venezuela will truly be safe in that country? And how do you justify the decision to send 350,000 people to Venezuela right now?
Well, 350,000 people have not been sent to Venezuela. I think you're referring to the TPS cancellation of the temporary status. So 2 points. Number one is, unfortunately, that blanket approval of TPS gave TPS, including to people that, frankly, we should not have allowed in this country, irrespective of what part of the world they came from.
So just so we're clear, the same country and administration in Venezuela that has been denounced, we have a whole travel advisory. They are seen as being supporters of terrorism. But we are now subjecting people that have come from that country to the possibility of being returned there, while bringing in white South Africans without having them to even prove any level of persecution. We brought them in because Elon Musk said. We brought them in because Elon, some evidence that was put together off of X was enough to bring in the white South Africans. But we have a whole file on the Maduro regime, and we're asking them to apply for asylum in the hopes that we would come and save them a second time, even after we've moved the way that we've moved up to this point. Now, that sounds absurd to me. At the same token, in this video, I have played multiple examples of folks in the Latino community who have not learned yet.
President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, rejected the measure to eliminate the temporary protected status, TPS, that benefited more than 350,000 Venezuelans in the United States after the U.S. Supreme Court ruling in favor of Donald Trump's administration that allows the withdrawal of the temporary residency permit of 350,000 Venezuelans. The Venezuelan head of state stressed that the TPS is a right that Venezuelans have. In this regard, President Nicolás Maduro called to build a great homeland so that all migrants who have had to leave because of the economic war can return to their country and reunite with their families. The withdrawal of the TPS leaves more than 350,000 Venezuelan migrants in a migratory limbo and at risk of deportation.
They took away the TPS from 350,000 Venezuelans. The TPS was a protection form to attract Venezuelan migrants in the United States. Many of those migrants believed in it and left for the north. Some of them did very, very badly, and others did badly. Now, some of them are protected by TPS. They already have a little house to live in. Sometimes 10 of them get together and rent an apartment and a house, and they all live there, one room for each one.
No. No, I'm not hearing that from you. I'm not hearing that from you. Wait a minute. You mad about how people being treated because they left your country? You free to make it better there. You thought you was slick. You thought you were just going to jump on the Donald Trump pile? Nah, man. We ain't forgot. And by the way, Cubans, y'all better stop dancing over there. Because I done addressed Marco Rubio and how he moving with respect to y'all before. We'll be back around here again. Hey, I would like to cordially invite you to my premiere. Did you know I premiere all of my videos? I have them every day, and I'm in the chat going back and forth with you guys live. So be on the lookout for notifications. And every day when we're in the premiere, I hear the same thing. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't get the notifications, which is something that I'm looking into, by the way.
What are you prepared to do about it? Don't let no one come into your house. Take your meal. Do what you need to do today.
Another way that you can help ensure you get those notifications is to subscribe to the channel. And also that helps amplify and boost our signal to make sure everybody is getting the message on all the good stuff that we got going on. Message. And of course, if you're interested in early access to the videos, the deep archive, the backstage, the extras, there is a link to membership in the description box to all of the videos. And if you like me, cheap is life. I remember my parents used to buy me shoes that were 3 sizes too big so I could grow into them. Well, the discount for the first month of the Patreon is running out, so make sure you take advantage of that at patreon.com/ReeseWaters. And all of you existing members, there's a code for you guys to try it for free for the first couple of months on me. Now, I want you to take a listen to something.
Turn me up a little bit, or just a little bit more. I got a message that I want to send across the world. Listen, baby.
Now that was sent in to us by Thomas Young, or as his friends call him, Preach.
Yeah, Ricky Fontaine. Pretty Ricky, what they call him.
For use on my Way of Waters channel. Well, I'm looking for the exact same thing on this channel. So if you are a musician or you know one and you got a cut of music that you wouldn't mind going hand in hand with some really good jokes and social justice commentary, go ahead and send it my way at admin@reesewaters.com. And now end, as I always do, with eternal gratitude for helping us get to this point.